Alright, what's up y'all? It's Lake 2 here. As you can see by the title of today's video, here to tell you, beware of Mega Lopunny with your Paris Trap team in Pokemon Champions. So, obviously, when it comes to Paris Trap, you kind of hinge on the main captain of the squad, Gengar, being a ghost type. Well, just so turns out that obviously with Lopunny being a normal type, and then Gengar being a ghost type, Scrappy, Mega Lopunny's ability is going to allow them to hit you as Gengar, and Gengar, with its only move being typically Ghost, obviously Shadow Ball. Most people running the Paris Trap probably don't run things like Sludge Bomb unless it's more of like a hybrid kind of, damaging regular team while mixing in Paris. But typically, you're not going to have another way to even damage Lopunny. And then even still with Sludge Bomb, not going to be able to even get like a one-hit KO, obviously, into Mega Lopunny. And the other thing about Mega Lopunny too, if we want to come over here to Showdown and show you guys, it has a base 135 speed. That is going to be 5 higher than Gengar, so it's even able to outspeed Gengar if it would like to. Now, as far as where this thing lines up in the speed tiers of the whole game itself, really only one actual threat is going to be faster than Mega Lopunny, and that is Mega Greninja. Anything else I think is not really feasible to be ran. I guess Mega Aerodactyl is very likely to be ran as well, and which can actually threaten quite a bit into Mega Lopunny as well. But my point essentially is, between Mega Lopunny's ability Scrappy being able to hit into ghost types and be immune to intimidates, while also having things like close combat, for instance, or also it doesn't actually have a great normal type move. If we come over here and sort by type and then go to normal with this, it's not going to have a whole lot to pick from. It is like, let's say, things like Fake Out, which that is still very valuable, being able to fake out into your ghost types, like for instance my Sableye, or into your Gengar, stuff like that as well. Facade is really its best physical normal type move. It does have things like Double Hit as well and Giga Impact, but like Giga Impact is going to be pretty unrealistic, and then Mega Kick also pretty unrealistic. So chances are it's probably Facade, but that also means you can't really afford to burn it either, and then it can't have its attack lowered through Scrappy. So you're kind of cooked when it comes to nullifying this thing's damage. And again, all things considered, this is not like bad base stats at all. I mean, like, this is still very respectable defenses with really good speed and attack, the ability to just keep spamming that. And also, if you were to combine like a moveset that is essentially this, right, with like let's say you'd even wanted to just drop the idea of hitting a normal move in general, you could run something along the lines of this, and now it's very hard to even plan around Lopunny. Of like, it can hit you with Fake Outs with the Scrappy ability, it can U-turn out after it's dropped its defense is too low. If it runs something like, let's say, a Jolly Nature, where it's going full speed investment and then full attack investment, again, there are not many things in the game faster than Mega Lopunny at that point. This is even faster than regular Aerodactyl, like, than it can even handle. So to be able to Fake Out, hit a couple of close combats, take some KOs, and then as soon as you threaten someone with a KO into it, it can go simply U-turn out, just like that. And now it's coming back in later with the ability to keep firing off close combats without its defenses being dropped. So Mega Lopunny is very threatening just in general in the game, but then into the Paris Trap teams, like what we're going to showcase right here as well, I mean, as you can see, like currently we have 3 ghost types that plan around Lopunny not even be able to hit them at all, with the fact that normal or fighting moves can't hit into ghost types typically, but now it'd be able to hit into Gengar, and then also super effectively, for that matter, hit into Sableye because it's Dark Ghost. So things like close combat are even super effective at that point as well. Now, as what you're going to see into the gameplay that we actually came out here with, I'm going to pull it up in the replica team, but it wasn't with the Sinistcha on the squad. This is going to be a little bit ago, where I had the Heliolisk on the team. So if I'm correct, yeah, it should be this team right here. So if you want to see the squad that we're playing with, it's going to be this one that trots out, the super effective close combats into Incineroar, Sableye, Heliolisk, and can still hit Gengar as well. Now, in retrospect, I should have absolutely brought Primarina to the fight. That was a poor mistake, very poor decision, and we're going to kind of showcase a lot of stuff like that and talk about how I could have improved on the way that we operated about that and who we should have brought instead. But let's get into the gameplay now. I just want to show you guys the threat of Mega Lopunny into the Paris Trap teams and how to avoid it. We'll have one game of us playing pretty well and then one game of us playing pretty bad. Alright, so I'm going to start us off with the poor gameplay. This is going to be one that we struggled with quite a bit and didn't really bring the right matchups into. However, as far as what was threatening as well, you can't really guarantee anything when it comes to this squad, because it could be Mega Venusaur as well, and it could be Mega Lopunny. It just depends which they actually believe is better to bring. Granted, I should have probably seen the writing on the wall right here that it's going to be able to hit 4 different Mons and, do super effective damage into all except for Kamo and Primarina. So as far as what else is being led though, I mean, there are still things like, Arcanine, Slowking, Galarian as well. Obviously, you can see Tinkaton here as well with the fake out. We've talked about Tinkaton being a pretty interesting bring for even a Paris Trap team as well, and even Corviknight too. They have a couple of mons I'm pretty interested in trying out sometime soon. But yeah, Mega Venusaur, or just Venusaur in general, is kind of threatening into Prim. Obviously, with Grass and Poison, both are super effective moves into Primarina's typing, so it's kind of a tough bring. However, should have seen through the writing on the wall right here, and probably just brought Prim regardless into what is going to be really tough into Lopunny. This is my very first time playing against Mega Lopunny though, so I didn't really realize how much of a threat it was until I obviously understood that, like, the whole close combat plus stab fighting move, and then also being able to be extremely fast and then turn into super effective damage into something like a Sableye of our team. Yeah, certainly a problem, So anyway, we intimidate both of these, as well as Arcanine's going to intimidate both of ours. This is before Lopunny has Scrappy, so you are able to get the Intimidate off into it at the very least. So that is at least useful play on the lead, potentially, to go with Incineroar. So we at least get value out right there. As far as what we were leading this into, though, I'm going to be real with y'all. Again, I'm a little bit misguided in this. I think the plan was that if we can lead Kamo-O and Sin into Lopunny, that can be really good value of being able to get, let's say, a fake out threat on the field somewhere and then body press damage into Lopunny. Because realistically, the only person like really trying to KO Lopunny would be Prim or Kamo-O on the team. 100% should have probably just dropped Incin off and gone with like Sableye and Kamo-O lead with the Primarina in the back. But anyway, just wanted to kind of, like I said, detail where we went wrong with some of this stuff as well. So we do threaten the fake out, but I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I wasn't really familiar with Mega Lopunny's bag. I didn't really play a whole lot of Gen 6 and just like stuff like that. So this Mega format is kind of new to me a little bit, technically speaking. And to just kind of know Lopunny's entire bag, I wasn't really familiar. So I didn't know it was in the 135 base speed, tier and stuff like that. I also didn't like really think too much about Scrappy before coming into the game. So yeah, as far as Scrappy, it's going to stop you from Intimidate, but not something like a Parting Shot, for instance. So there is a way we could whittle down the Lopunny, but then again, it also threatens the idea of potentially hitting U-turn. So yeah, threatening in many different ways possible, because then with all the investment we maybe put into dropping its stats, it might not even really be out here to actually continue getting its stats dropped. So it goes fake out plus Will-O-Wisp. Awful, 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 terrible lead. We should have expected something like that, but now I know. Now I know, and I don't think we'd make that mistake again. It'd very likely be a double protect turn for me right there on the next time that we ever did this, because Lopunny with fake out is a very commonly seen thing, even though it's a mega. I kind of underestimated the idea of fake out on such a powerful mon like that, because I'm like, why would you really want to spend fake out turns with such a huge high base attack and speed and stuff like that? Well, turns out it's actually very valuable. This is the fastest fake out in the game, even faster than Weavile and way faster than Sneasler. And I was sitting here looking for, the fastest fake outs in the game possible, because I wanted to one up the Sneaslers and stuff like that. And that's actually why you saw mine was titled I Hate Sneasler on like the Lopunny that we had, because I was actually messing around with that on the Superior team, if you guys are familiar with that, from a couple of days ago. We had a lot of different stuff that we brought, like a Pelipper, the Heliolisk, and then Superior to pretty much every fight. So I wanted 3 different megas that could like kind of rotate around which one we need to bring more. And yeah, I ended up finding out that Lopunny might be a pretty good fit for that team. But anyway, back into the gameplay here. We've got Gengar in, however, not Mega yet. So the Shadow Tag isn't going to work. We don't have them locked in, and it's very likely, watching this in retrospect, that Lopunny just ends up switching out right here, whether it's through U-turn or if it's through the manual switch, whichever way that happens to be. So, yeah, not exactly the easiest play right there, and as you can see, they do go with a manual switch, and it's going to be into Slowking. So, once again, not good. Very good switch from them too, because all things considered, we don't really threaten a Shadow Ball into the Lopunny at all, because we just can't simply like do that. It's just a terrible play. But then at the same time, that makes it where Slowking is a really easy, simple switch, where it is weak to things like Shadow Ball, but you wouldn't really think to hit it in that turn. So Arcanine, full on support, goes Snarl with Soundproof. That's not going to hit, so we actually avoid that entirely. But the purpose of that would have been really good into, obviously, the Gengar. And with us being burnt on Kamo-O and the body press being quad resisted right there between Poison and Psychic, yikes, that does literally 0 damage with a 184 or 194 defense Kamo-O. That's so tough to see. So Anyway, now we have a little bit of an issue on our hands. So they have really good allies around this Lopunny team, where I really do think something like Galarian Slowking is very threatening into Gengar, and I never really even realized it so much in the moment. But yeah, with things like Snarl and little did I know, Snarl from the Slowking as well being threatened, double Snarl is crazy, bro. Like, that's just so threatening into this team. So now I'm scrambling a little bit. We don't really have a lot of good options for what's currently on the field, and Arcanine is also a very good addition to the team, I must say. This is like very threatening combo that's out here right now. So I kind of have no choice but to get out of here on Gengar. Realistically, I can't I can't threaten damage with Kamo into either of them because of the burn, and just also in general being a fighting type that's in here in the face of a psychic type. So we're kind of stuck a little bit. We do go with the Intimidate from Incineroar right there, and then go double switch right here into the Sableye as well. So we have two different fake outs being threatened, and then as you can see, they go Snarl on Arcanine once again. And then as far as what Slowking is going to let off right here after we drop both our special attacks as well, Psychic into the Gengar slot. So now Psychic is useless. The tough thing is that we really would have a lot of value with them clicking Psychic, because then we could hit Encore right here, but we don't have Shadow Tag on the field. So there's a lot of different ways that this is kind of threatening our team right now. We don't really have them pinned in a good spot at all, because we haven't been able to get Gengar on the field while also having them stuck doing something bad. Because in multiple different cases now, we've had their Slowking use Psychic into our double Dark types, and we had Lopunny on -2 attack, but couldn't trap them. It's like Zuko trying to catch the Avatar. We just, are out here just not cooking at all. And chances are, I have to really consider that, you can see me like really trying to think which one do we want to fake out right here. Chances are the Slowking's probably switching out, It's like all of this stuff just wasn't a very good thought. Now, they actually go Arcanine switch right there instead, with the fact that it's intimidated. To be fair, it's just firing off Snarls, so not a big deal. And we actually benefit quite a bit because Slowking doesn't switch out. So now we went fake out plus Parting Shot right here. Problem is, Slowking's last used move was Psychic. So if we do go into Gengar, yes, we trap Lopunny now, but Slowking could just simply use Psychic over and over again. But we have a burnt Kamo that also can't really stand in the face of something like a Slowking, so we're kind of cooked. This is just a really good fit. I'm not gonna lie, I would never think that Galarian Slowking would be such a threat, but it truly is a really good match for Lopunny, just being on the field. Because it stops our, let's say a Ghost type that we have with Gengar as well, and in my case, just so happens to be a Poison type, not being able to actually stand in the face of this Lopunny. And then, again, with it being Psychic type, also threatens our fighting types that can do super effective damage into Lopunny as well, like, for instance, Kamo. So, a really tough situation right now. I think you could argue maybe a decent play could be to go, let's say, Protect with Gengar and then Intimidate plus switch Incineroar in just in general for the Intimidate plus Fake Out threat that we potentially could have had. I think that would have been a way better play. You can see me just start thinking way too much with the Reflect type, and it's eating up a lot of the brain minutes, if you get what I'm saying. We're like, we only have so much time on the turn, and I don't know. I'm not trying to place the blame on anything, because obviously this is me playing bad as a player. It's just as simple as that. And we could disable the Psychic from Slowking. I didn't know what its other moves are, for that matter, either. So I was like, do we want it to hit Psychic or not? It's like, if we Encore it, we would have it stuck with Incineroar again, but then that means that we're kind of stuck in a switch spam. So I end up just trying to see what the new move is going to be from Slowking. In retrospect, once again, just not a great play, but we couldn't really do anything in a little punny slot because obviously it just came in. So the double protect's kind of all you can do in a sense of like trying to shut Lopunny down. So it goes close combat, but into the Gengar slot. That was very confusing to see. So it kind of confirms to me that that's going to be their only move that can do big damage, like what I was telling y'all about with the close combat, U-turn, fake out, and protect combo. Now they went with Snarl on Slowking. Now I don't know if that was truly just to avoid the Sableye disable, making it so they can use Psychic on the next turn, or if they truly wanted to use Snarl. Interesting movesets, obviously, around the Lopunny, but being able to drop special attack is a very valuable aspect of this team, being on like one with the fast mon with Arcanine and then one on a slow mon with Slowking as well. So yeah, I gotta put some respect on Slowking's name for sure, because this was a very threatening game that we ended up playing. Now I kind of freak out a little bit right here, and we end up going with like, I don't know, like it's just so bad. They played around this so well. I mean, even if we disable, on the Snarl, we just have to hope that that means they're readying the Snarl. But chances are, after they've done a lot of switching back and forth to avoid the Sableye trolling, with, you know, obviously not allowing themselves to be disabled, they do threaten Psychic now. So after a close combat from Lopunny into Gengar, doing absolutely insane damage for it being a resisted move by the crazy powerhouse Lopunny is in general, we get the Paris song off, but now if they readied Psychic into Gengar, we're cooked. And it is. Now, crazy enough, we actually live this. I have no idea how Mega Lopunny, you know, close combat, granted, the differing in stats is kind of crazy here, obviously, with like Lopunny's attack being through the roof and Slowking not being the greatest attacker in any regards, more often than not. But to live that Psychic is insane. I had no idea we were going to be able to do that. So now I think the no-brainer play is going to be to double protect just to stall this Paris turn out. However, we're kind of in such a terrible spot that I really don't even know if there is a good solution. It'd be so different if it weren't for Scrappy, and like, you know, Lopunny having Scrappy is just truly so powerful. I can't stress it enough, especially into our team. I mean, like, typically you'd feel like Sableye and Gengar would be so safe against a normal fighting type, but simply put, to be Scrappy with normal fighting is insane. So we could have probably gone double protect on Sableye right there, but I do go right here for the Intimidate plus potentially fake out into somebody. Like, let's say if we were able to fake out Slowking, we could actually deal with that. And as you can see, you know, the Scrappy from Lopunny obviously coming into play right there. My plan is to fake out Slowking in order to let us live, but then they switch where the close combat was coming into and end up hitting the Incineroar. Now, once again, thankfully we lived that. But, oh, so frustrating, right? It's like they're going big damage into Gengar slot. I guess it makes sense in that regard because they probably were, as you can see, ready to take the KO with just Psychic and, you know, to cover for that. So, great plays by the opponent right now. I mean, they're really doing their thing right now. But we do still kind of have it out, but not really. The thing is that we need whatever we switch into the Gengar slot to get KO'd now, which is really bad. So we're going to allow them to try and take KOs into either of these slots in order for us to get this Paris trap off. Because if I were to go fake out into somebody, it might be a little bit problematic. I think at this point, if we leave both slots vulnerable to getting KO'd, it at least means that we can get Gengar back in on the next turn and have the, you know, the shadow tag set up and be able to trap them even still. But a little bit concerning right here. As you can see, we still get this to work with switching Sableye in. But then, yeah, if they were readying something like Psychic into Incineroar, obviously, you know, that wouldn't have worked. So, thankfully, for that matter, we actually do get KO'd on the Sableye slot. But now we hit Parting Shot. And, you know, a little bit awkward in this regard because I was kind of hoping it would be the other way around where something like, let's say, you know, let's say Slowking was readying Psychic into Sableye, and then they just took the KO on Incineroar with the close combat. Didn't really work out that way. So now, unfortunately for our sake, they did indeed ready the Psychic into the slot of Gengar originally, and we had to switch Kamo into it because at that point, then if we went with the switch back into Gengar right there, it would have been really bad and he would have got KO'd. So I couldn't afford to actually switch Gengar into that. So yeah, really bad plays all around by me, as you can see. However, all of this included, you know, we're still kind of here. We're still kind of in the game where we could hit the double protect now off of all of this and then still get their back two in for a 3-on-2. But we have a burnt Kamo-O, 11 HP Gengar, and then a really low HP Incineroar as well. So we are, however, up in the amount of Pokemon, absolutely not winning the fight right now. So we kind of have to hope that whatever's in the back is really easy to deal with. And we already know one's an Arcanine. So yeah, not exactly a great situation for us, to be honest. So anyway, accelerating through the game a little bit here, we go with the double protect. As far as what they're going to ready, I don't think they have anything that can really troll us. Like, I do know that regular Slowking actually has the Chilly Reception move, where it's going to be, like, switching you out, essentially, and summoning a snowstorm, or, like, snow at the same time. And low-key, with Slowking, you can have Regenerator as the ability, too. We've been thinking about that on the Paris Trap team as well. So, yeah, a lot of overlap on this team that we were considering between, like, the Tinkaton, the Slowking, and the Corviknight that they had, too. So, what do they have in the back between all of those, though? Between Tinkaton, Corviknight, and then, obviously, you know, we know the Arcanine is back there, too. So, what do they have? As you're going to see, as they ready their Pokemon out here, they have Corviknight and Arcanine. I'm not gonna lie, probably over. I don't know that we really even could have beat any of these guys, honestly. Like Venusaur, Walls, Kamo-O with like, I mean, we would be hitting Dracos probably. If it was Tinkaton, Kamo-O would be cooked as well. Fake Out would be threatened. I mean, realistically, there was probably no winning this anymore with the status of everybody's health and stuff like that, and just the fact that we got burnt, etc., etc. We could have made a lot of plays though. I don't think this game was destined to be lost. I just think that we played it bad, and I think that I'd be able to do it better if I were to do it again, and probably bring something like Primarina instead of bringing, let's say, Incineroar or Sableye, honestly. But I do still feel like Sableye is a decent bring. It just so happens that they threatened a lot of like different capabilities into it with like the Snarl, Breaking Sash, and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, if we could have kept it intact, it probably could have helped quite a bit. Anyway, we end up like taking way too long on these turns, and either way, we are obviously cooked right here. Like, even if I set up the Paris right here, it's still not going to be very useful. I am going to get it up. However, that means that Gengar gets KO'd, and now we have Incin and Kamo-O both in the back trying to survive. Paris count at 3, however. But the problem is I have 10 seconds. I've been thinking real hard on this game. My clock is running out. I think the best case scenario that we would have had for winning this at this point would have literally just been to triple protect and hope that Kamo-O or Incineroar can pull it off. But unfortunately, you can see I do go for the forfeit just because our timer has run out. I would have 100% tried it. It's just at that point, as you can see, the timer was just way too against us, and we were just sitting behind the clock way too hard. But yeah, I think that would have been my win condition that I held on to and threw a Hail Mary on, at least, of trying to get the double triple protect into the Paris counter running out for them. But obviously not able to work for us. So just again to kind of trace our steps on this team. 100% bringing Prim would have been the good idea, especially into who they ended up bringing. Problem is, like I told you guys, though, I mean, Slowking Galarian is threatening some poison damage, though granted, maybe we come to find out he didn't even have a poison move. Maybe. I don't know. It might just be the squad that we trotted out there as well. But then, yeah, obviously between, like, you know, steel moves being neutral into Prim and not being able to do any damage to them, and then obviously Venusaur threatening as well, it was just what steered us away from bringing Prim. Granted, in retrospect, would have been a really good bring. And Heliolisk being on the team really didn't help anything here either, because it really did not contribute into anybody here at all. Alright, so into the next game, however, you can see they have Mega Lopunny being threatened again, but Mega Glamora being threatened, and technically Gyarados and Garchomp, but probably unlikely that either of these two have their Mega Stone. I tell you guys what, these teams that have like 4 different people that can Mega are so misleading. It's so hard to predict what they're going to be doing, and you know, like, I think it's more likely that Lopunny would be the Mega here, but it's also like in the VGC format right here of only bringing 4, like they could just leave, they could have 3 different people with Mega Stone on them and leave 2 in the back, or even just bring 2 with a stone and then end up only using 1, obviously. So anyway, what we're looking at right here is potentially going Gengar and Sableye lead, and as you can see, it's what we go with. We make up for our mistake from the last time and bring Prim, even though it's kind of threatened by like Glamora. Thing is though, it's going to do really well at walling Garchomp and then also Hydreigon at the same time. So as far as who we leave this time, it's obviously going to be Heliolisk again, and we leave Incineroar this time. Just between like being threatened by Glamora as well, Garchomp being threatening, and just like, you know, even Gyarados too. I feel like this is a better game for Gyarados to be left behind. So instead, we're going with the Sableye and Gengar combo while also bringing Kamo-O and Prim. So this is kind of a staple 4 for me that I've been bringing a lot. Like I told you guys, these are a little bit earlier games, so I am in the 1870 for the ELO on this, so it's still not even that low. But yeah, a little bit older, all things considered. So they go Lopunny lead with Aegislash. This is menacing, absolutely threatening into this. I really don't like this. You know, Aegislash threatens really hard into Gengar, and Mega Lopunny threatens really hard into even still Gengar, but also especially Sableye. So I think the better play here is to just go double protect and be able to troll something like Aegislash if it happens to be leaving itself vulnerable, and then with our Sash intact on Sableye, we could kind of play around that a little bit. So to skip all the Mega shenanigans, as you can see, I'm going to go with my Mega Gengar, and they're going to go with their Mega Lopunny as well. So yeah, skip all the animations just playing out. Nobody needs to see all that. Let's see what their Aegislash does. If this is Shadow Sneak, it'll come out pretty early. Typically, I would assume earlier than Lopunny. And Lopunny could even still fake one of us out. So that's another big reason to go double protect as well, is just to avoid the fake out from Lopunny. So fake out indeed. Now, this is where I should have played this better the first time. As you can see, with that fake out from Lopunny, the thing is, with Sableye in here and Gengar off rip, I can actually focus in on the Lopunny and punish them for hitting Fake Out by hitting an Encore into them. So as far as what we do with the Aegislash, if it wants to stay in sword form and hit Shadow Sneak, it will do very big damage into Gengar, however not take a KO unless it crits. I've looked into this over a couple of calcs and stuff like that. So if they want to take the trade right there, I think that's fine, and as long as we survive it and get the KO into Aegislash, it's really what I'm looking to do, because now we have a Lopunny that's going to be offline, not able to do anything, and now we're going to be able to threaten whatever comes out in the back with a fast Perish, and maybe we could just sacrifice Gengar if need be. But they stay in sword form, go for an attacking move like probably Poltergeist, I'm guessing, or Iron Head, whatever that might be. And they didn't go into King Shield. Now, I think they should have gone King Shield, but the thing was, that was still going to be a positive turn for us right there. Because we still could have obviously played around whatever the heck it was going to do on the next turn, or punished them even more again by hitting Encore into their King Shield and making it so they end up getting stuck hitting that. And then Lopunny and Aegislash would both just be stuck hitting Fake Out and King Shield, and be able to hit the Paris song. Granted, Aegislash could switch out, but long story short, we would still have them cooked and Lopunny would be gone. So now what do we do off this? Double Protect is a no-brainer. If it's Scarf Garchomp, we can keep him stuck as well and really just keep cooking him. So pretty much what I'm trying to get at to you guys is that we should have committed to a squad like this off rip. We should have, and also, again, I didn't really know Lopunny's bag quite enough. So with being able to Fake Out Ghost, you certainly want to play around that. And leading in Sin plus whatever the heck I led, I think Kamo or something like that, it just simply wasn't a good play. So these guys go with something really interesting right here. So I see that they go Earthquake plus obviously they're stuck hitting Fake Out and Lopunny, so they can't even hit Protect or anything like that. So instead, I'm going to play around this, and whether they have a Scarf or not, I'm just going to be able to get them stuck into something they don't want to do. Unless they have Protect on their Garchomp. But if they don't have Protect, or if they're Scarfed or anything like that, we're just going to Encore them. Whether he's Scarfed or not, I don't want to play around that too much, so if he isn't Encore, if he is, he would have done it anyway. Whoop-de-doo, we don't really care. Lopunny's going to have to struggle, and then Garchomp is going to hit Earthquake and be stuck doing it no matter what, unless he hits Protect. And as you can see, we hit the Encore, so I switch in someone who wants to take that Earthquake well enough, and then also they're going to be forced to hit their own Lopunny right here. So between the struggle damage that you're going to see going to Kamo and they lose 25%, they're like guaranteed to go down to this Earthquake now. Easy. And then boom, as you can see, we take that hit with Sableye and Kamo. Pretty decent. It's not too bad. And then with Lopunny gone and Aegislash, that means now they're stuck with their back two, and that means that Garchomp can't leave the field. So now if he is Scarfed, and granted, with it being a Gyarados, we obviously don't want him to hit Earthquake anyway, we're going to disable. And now, regardless of what his item is or anything like that, we're able to keep him stuck. He's going to be struggling, and now it's just going to be a 4v1 against Gyarados and then a Garchomp that's on a timer, essentially. So, if we want to go with like a Draco right now and just delete him, we could do that too. Or, as you can see, we could also go with like the Double Protect just to make sure. We could just make sure that they are like Scarfed, and like if they really want to hit Earthquake right here, then they would show it. Then they would show themselves, essentially, if you get what I'm saying. Because what I don't want is for it to switch up its move and hit Dragon Claw into my Kamo. But if it hits Earthquake right here, I think it's kind of a given that it's Scarf now. And actually, my bad, I'm tripping because it's Encored anyway, so I'm actually kind of BSing, and that was actually a terrible play. But, oh well, we're able to deal with it after this. As you can see, just dealing with whatever Gyarados might be sending out here as well. And you can see me kind of realize that. I'm like, dude, okay. Or maybe I already knew it the whole time, to be real with y'all. But, no need to hit Disable or anything like that into Garchomp, because if it is hitting Earthquake, that's still perfectly fine with us. I think in a way we kind of want to keep bodies alive too for if this has to go down to a Perish with the Gyarados also. So I think like we don't really threaten big damage into Gyarados across the team, between the fact that like Kamo's only really good way of doing it would be through Draco, and I'm going to have to spend one anyway on this Garchomp right here. Now it is threatening flinches into Kamo as well in the meanwhile while this is all going on. So if we can avoid the flinch, that'd be really important. And if we couldn't, I think we rely on Prim to take the KO on Garchomp instead. So we end up getting hit with that Earthquake. Like I was saying, if we did get flinched right there, Kamo for sure gets KO'd by the next Earthquake, all things considered. So we would definitely have to rely on Prim. And then on the whatever's coming in for that, we'd probably just hit Fake Out into, let's say, Gyarados, sack Sableye in the process, and then snag the KO, whether it's one turn or two turn on the Garchomp through Moonblast with Prim. So we could hit a couple of things here, but yeah, just gonna have to probably be willing to sack the Kameo and just kind of stand in the face of the Gyarados with Prim right here. So they do go Waterfall and they go into Prim for the flinch. I don't really know what the moveset would be for this Gyarados right now, but because we're pretty bulky and gonna wall a lot of his moves, we're simply just gonna go with Breaking Swipe, drop his attack over and over and over and over again, and then be able to just keep firing off Moonblast. If this had the, you know, leftovers or something like that, like protect lefties, etc., etc., being able to just keep on healing, stuff like that. So it doesn't, and this one's pretty much over, as you can see, just firing off Breaking Swipe, Moonblast again, and able to get the KO. So what were the big differences between these two games? Well, again, the surrounding cast, they do have a Glamora, which was still threatening into things like Prim, but we decided to bring Prim was the difference. So Primarina, big deal of countering Mega Lopunny, even if it's not directly, it's just the fact that you have a good switch in for its close combat, because we don't have any of that on the squad, to be real with you, except for Kameo. But in the process, we let Kameo get burnt in the first game, which was terrible. It was like a really bad play. Should obviously play around knowing Arcanine could be doing stuff like that. I think it'd be a lot easier if we went for the Paris Trap instead, especially with, because what did they lead on that game? Let me go back to it. All right, yeah, so they led Arcanine and Lopunny, which, if you ask me, would have been a really, really good lead for Gengar Sableye. We probably would have just been able to simply go double protect on the first turn, again, like I was talking about, and then just, like, keep Lopunny stuck in Fake Out if it goes for it, and if it starts hitting close combat, just hit Disable. I think that's probably the way to go about it, because I now understand that not a lot of people are running a normal type move on Lopunny because things like Facade are just kind of mediocre, if we're being real. If it had Return, it would for sure be running it, or like Frustration or anything like that, but they took those moves out of the game in Champions. So yeah, the friendship-based moves just simply don't exist. So there goes your 100 power moves that you'd be able to hit on something like a Lopunny beforehand. So yeah, definitely think the way to improve this is do not lead some shenanigans like this of Kameo Incineroar combo. Though it was solid, it leaves you vulnerable to fake outs. It leaves you vulnerable to all types of stuff. It leaves you vulnerable to getting burnt and the switch outs and stuff like that as well. I think, simply put, Gengar Sableye is a much better lead for this and can punish Lopunny for doing things like trying to fake out your ghost types, or, you know, with its limited move pool, keep it condensed and take away that close combat from even working, and then also whittle down the teammate of making them less usable as well. But we need to be less predictable with the disables too. That what we did with that Slowking right there was really, really bad. We should not be hitting Disable into Snarl and like trying to predict around him going with a Snarl and like leaving ourselves vulnerable to a Psychic. That's a terrible play, you know. So anyway, just wanted to break that down for you guys of why you should beware of Mega Lopunny in these Paris Trap teams. It is certainly a very threatening Mon, like no doubt about it. So anyway, yeah, especially into our multitude of ghost types and dark types. So here was the squad if you guys wanted to copy it down. This is when we had our Prim. Well, I think, yeah, Prim's still scaled the same way EV-wise, and same with Sableye. I think we've revamped Incin a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, to be more split, and also have changed like moveset and items. So if you want the updated team, this is it right here. I feel pretty good about it. However, I'm still kind of searching for a lot of things. You would think I'd be able to figure this out a lot better and faster, but there's just so many mons in the game and so many different playstyles that are good right now that it's kind of hard to even play into them all. Like, I don't know, it's hard to like check Sneasler, Charizard, Aerodactyl, and Garchomp and Archaludon at once, if you get what I'm saying. Like, all this stuff is just so widespread, so to not have one of them yourself while doing stuff like that is pretty hard, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It's just tough because of, like, the Paris Trap squad is very limited to whatever move pool fits for the Parish, if you ask me. You can't simply just say, I'm going to put a King Gambit, Sneasler, and Incineroar, and then Archaludon on my team, and just say, I'm going to play Parish with it. I just think, like, their movesets sometimes don't actually line up well enough with it. Now, Sneasler, low-key, I think, could fit on the team, with the fact that he has Fake Out and, like, U-Turn and stuff like that, while still running maybe Dire Claw or Close Combat, one of the two. But yeah, I don't know. Like, the rest are just kind of questionable fits at best. So a lot of this stuff is very dependent on typing, movesets, stuff like that, defensive capabilities, and I don't know. It's not as simple as just saying I want Aerodactyl on my team and I'm going to spam Rock Slides. Though I will say Aerodactyl is actually kind of an interesting play on the Paris team as well. I've been considering him for the fact that he has like Wide Guard, fast Rock Slides, can threaten Charizard, also at least gives you a hope against opposing Aerodactyls as well. And then, yeah, also maybe having Tailwind, stuff like that. Good into Sneasler if we ever couldn't bring Sableye. So I'm messing with some ideas. For sure. I don't want to let you guys think this is just the final draft of the team and this is for sure how it's going to be. If I had to load into a tournament, I probably would load up with this squad. I'm trying to play in the Scraw tournament that's going down like probably the day of you seeing this video. Problem is only 1,000 people were able to sign up, and I tried to, but it was like 40 people too late. So I don't think I'm going to be able to play in that. But the grand challenge, like the open like thing that we have going on pretty soon here, I don't even exactly know how this is gonna work. But I definitely will try to hone into a team that we can end up loading into this online tournament with, basically. So if we come to this is what I'm talking about. Global challenge, yes. So I'll try and have the team whittled down a little bit before the 30th and like really feel comfortable with something. If I had to do anything, though, it's going to be the Sinistra, probably. But I'm going to keep looking a little bit and see if we can discover some more like good fits as well. So anyway, that's all video. If you guys want to check it out, I actually, I think I'm going to explain it in the other video as well. But I'm going to make a Discord server that all of us who are interested in Parish can kind of brainstorm some thoughts together, work together a little bit more, if you get what I'm saying, and give you guys a hub to actually access more people that are interested in this playstyle and talk to them directly, as well as maybe even talk to me directly as well. So I'm going to leave the link to the Discord in the description, and you guys can feel free to join that. And I'll probably end up putting it in the comment whenever I wake up. I post these videos and put them on a schedule because my sleep schedule is pretty awful. So I end up just waking up to the comments and kind of responding in bulk all at once. But anyway, yeah, that's all for vid. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all that good stuff. Like always, try to 100 to 200 likes. And if you made it to the end of the video and you want to show your support, what you did, put Lopunny or you could put Parish in the comments to show your support from all the way through. So shout out Lopunny, really tough matchup. You will see that end up being in this format a decent bit. I don't know if it's like the meta, it definitely isn't, but it's very good, I must say, all things considered. It's one of the fastest, it is the fastest fake out in the game and one of the fastest mons in general. So with that and its ability to hit ghost types and normal fighting being a pretty good typing overall, yeah, very threatening for sure. So anyway, that's all for video. Hope you all enjoyed, and that takes you, man. Peace.